Coming out of high school, I was lost. I didn't know where I wanted to go. I didn't know what I wanted to do, what I wanted to be. All my life just consisted of hanging out with friends and smoking weed and just having fun. And that was the point where I knew I needed to get my head together. I needed to figure out what I needed to do. So out of high school, I got a job doing security and making $9 an hour doing that. And now, fast forward today, I make over 6 figures. But, the process to getting there, one of the hardest parts to making that change of your life, it wasn't, the hardest part wasn't just the studying and working to get my license, to what I'm doing now in aviation. It was more of changing my environment, separating myself from the people that I was living the life that I was living with, smoking weed, the drinking, and just focusing on having fun. I had to realize that I had to separate myself from those people. They were my friends, they were people I liked to be around, but I knew that if I kept hanging around with the same people with this mindset, that it was only going to keep me where I was. And yeah, it was a hard time. Like, I had to make that choice to separate myself. And I think my dad also, because he was definitely strict in my life, he let me be free for a while. But when he saw that, it's time to get serious, he kind of helped me like, dude, you need to get it together. And he's one of the ones that helped me get into where I'm at now. And I thank him every day, because, he told me about this open house for aviation, and I went there and I decided that's what I wanted to do. But I had to realize that shortly after I started this, that if I was going to be successful in this and I was going to be able to get to where I wanted to be, that I had to get myself out of this lifestyle. And at the beginning of it, of pursuing this, it wasn't going that well because I was still trying to fit that lifestyle into my life, and it wasn't going too good. And there was a certain point where I woke up and I was like, I need to isolate myself. I need to go all in on this. I need to remove myself from these people that, they were dragging me down. They had their own plans in life, and it wasn't going and doing what I wanted to do. And I knew that if I wanted to get to where I wanted to be, I had to separate myself from that environment. And as soon as I did that, it started to all change. My focus was dead on where I wanted to be. It wasn't on having fun. It wasn't on smoking weed. It was on getting my life together so that I can be successful. And there were still many ups and downs besides just that in the process, but that one choice right there accelerated me straight to where I wanted to be. And getting the license, doing the studying, it all became easy. All I started to do was learn how to be good with being alone. And at that point, all I did was go to my school, study, focus on what I need to learn, because, the people around me in the school, a lot of them, they came from the Air Force. They already knew about this stuff. A lot of this stuff was easy for them. They already knew about these things, but I've never worked on an aircraft. I didn't know anything about this stuff. And it was definitely one of the most challenging things I had to do. And I worked as hard as I could in it. I would go to school, come home, get me a workout in. I would be focused on the gym, just keeping myself healthy and going to studying. And then when I needed to, work security. So it was just school, study, work, gym. And that's all I focused on. And everything became easy after that. After making that choice to make myself be alone and isolate myself and immerse myself in what I wanted to do. And it just shows that if you want to become the person you want to be, you have to change your environment, because you're not going to get to where you want to be if the environment you're in is holding you back and keeping you from being there. And I thank God that I made that choice and I went all in, because after that, it was just smooth sailing. especially after getting the license. I went from making $9 an hour working security to straight to making $28 an hour working on aircraft. And to me, that was like, I felt rich. And I kept working. I kept working my career, kept moving up, getting raises, getting new jobs, making more, until now I'm making six figures, and now I'm happy. Like I've got a family being built, and I'm able to work hard and be able to provide for my family in the way I want to. And a lot of those friends that I told you about that I was with, they're living the same life, not really progressing. And so I thank God I actually made that escape. Now I've got new friends that are, on the same mindset. Once you learn to be alone and isolate yourself and focus on what you want to be, eventually you'll make new friends. You'll align yourself with more people that are with the same path as you, that want to do the same things as you, that want to be successful, that want to make money, that just want to be able to provide a good, successful life for their family so they can build the family they want and the life that they want. So one thing I've learned is, sometimes you got to be good with being alone. Sometimes you got to be good with being uncomfortable. It's not staying in the comfort of the environment you're in just because you don't want to be alone. And once you take that step to just be alone and learn to just immerse yourself in the change in your life, that's the biggest step you can take. And for me, it was quitting weed. It was quitting being around certain people and being alone long enough that I can make the change in my life and find new people that I can connect with and build that life.